Good evening, Pak Mateus and classmates. Thank you for making the time to visit youtube.com and listen to my explanation. My name is Judith. I'll be presenting about genre and language learning by G.R. Martin. I hope my explanation will somehow help you in understanding more about genre in this course. First of all, before I start explaining any further, I would like to tell you about the history of genre. Earlier in 1980s, teachers and linguists in Australia were having a big project about supporting schools' literacy program. Their goals are to make primary students write more English texts than before. The project also aimed to make teachers aware of literacy and teaching and hope that they can teach it back to their students. Local students and migrants who learn English as a second language were the main target of this program. Long story short, students were asked to write many formats of writings, such as successive writing or draft, response to conferencing session with teachers, and edited script. Along the way, issues and changes happened. As teachers, we are actually expected to facilitate our students more instead of being their role model in the class. This event didn't happen back then in Australia. Teachers kept on coming to the students and giving suggestions on what to write. As a result, the students' writing production is monotonous. Just around what the schools requires them to write. They don't write what beyond that. So that in 1990, the work was expanded to writing in secondary school and workplace. It also looked at the relationship between school and workplace literacies. It look at the relationship between school and workplace literacies means, for example, in school you're reading about science in general, and then in your working place you're reading about how to make perfume literacies, for example, or chemistry's literacy. So you can connect between general science, what you have learned from school, to your working place literacies. You can use all of those information or knowledge in the same field, so that it will help you in your working places, so that the knowledge doesn't stop there when you stop schooling like that. After these changes, rose 2004 until 2007 at a focus on reading, as it will also improve the students' writing skills. So we're going to move on to the next slide. It is about genre in a functional language model. Functional model of language, also known as systematic functional linguistics, was firstly introduced by Halliday and his colleague. This approach is now worldwide used by teachers or educators to analyze discourse. Now we're going to move on to the strata level of language. As you can see in the chart, we cannot so there in the chart you can see stages or levels of language on how we can use language. We cannot get all of those social purposes all at once. We have to take the first stage, the first level, and then we can move on to the next level. So the first stage is phonology or sounds. As we all know, it is the ability for recognizing voice, like in the phonic lesson. After phonology, then we can move on to lexicogrammar. So lexicogrammar is a combination of words and grammar. After people understand sounds and how it pronounced, they started to learn about words and grammar. At this stage, people usually talk in pattern, mostly because they are not aware of language beyond words. After mastering this lexicographer, then people can move on to discourse semantics. Here, people rely more on meaning, so people know how to talk beyond words. Saying everything, anything without spitting out the real words. So usually they'll use metaphor or other words to say. On the second chart here, we can see the meta function concerning language, register, and genre. In any context, people use language to do its three main functions. The first one is ideational. It is aimed to tell about subject matter like field. So field means what is happening, like the interaction and events. And then the second one is interpersonal. It is aimed to interact with other people like tenor, who is taking part in the interaction. And then last one, textual, is aimed to structure the text in mode. So the rhetorical modes, or like what mode does the text used? Is it rhetorical or like symbolic organization, like that? Okay, next we're going to move on to what is genre. So first of all, what is genre? Genre refers to the type and structure of language. It used for particular purpose in a particular context. Genre has come with characters as follows. First of all, it is staged, because it takes us more than one stage to work through genre. It is also goal oriented, because genre is always designed to finish something. So if you don't finish it, there will be something missing. So you have to finish something, you have to have the goal. The last one is social, because genre is made for us to interact with others by writings or even spoken discourse. It is what we call a social, right? Because we made the text, we made the discourse for social purpose. Later I'll show you how we can analyze it. As you can see here on the text, this is what the writer said about having stages. So one exposition text has many staged. Here, as you can see, there are introduction, explanation, recommendation. They're all called staged. If you lost some part of the stage, it won't be a good writing. Now we're going to discuss about the goals. As you can see from the text above, the text has the goals at the end. The child was trying to convince the government to do something, so it has goal. And then from the social function, the text is made from a child to the government once again to convince the government to build a theater. It is a social function because it makes the child and the government communicate without seeing face to face, without meeting in person, like that. Now let us move on to the last slide. Why do we have to learn genre? As we all know, some schools and teachers didn't set what they want to teach in the class. Sometimes, even if they have prepared good materials to teach, it turned out failed because the teachers do not know what to do in the class. Teachers sometimes also provided some texts for the students to read and write at school, but sometimes they do not know what is the type of the text, how to analyze it. That is why teaching our teachers, first of all, about genre is very important. Teachers can learn types of genre and how to analyze it very easily once they know about genre discourse. Now I have one text um, written about. Oops, sorry, I forgot to show you this one. But that's okay. Okay, so I have this one text written by Nelson Mandela. I'll read the first part. Um, Once upon a time, a small child asked her father, "Why aren't you with us?" And her father said, "There are other children like you, a great many of them." And his voice trailed off. As you can see here in the text, for the first impression, you may think that the father here was very cruel for saying that to her little child, right? This is what the writer of the journal, Martin, um, was trying to explain. He was trying to explain that if you add another words in the text, or if you add another phrase, another word, any words, it will change the whole meaning. As you can see in the first text, you will think that the father was very cruel, right? Now the author of the journal was trying to add modality there. He add can. Now let's see how it sounds. A small child asked her father, "Why can you not be with us?" And her father said, "There are other children like you, a great many of them." And then his voice trailed off. The child the child at Ken there, it means that the child was asking for her father's ability. Why cannot her father make time for her? Why can the other fathers make time for their daughter like that? It also happened with the other two texts. Here the writer tried to had to at the back. Now you listen. A small child asked her father, "Why can you not be with us?" And her father had to say, "There are other children like you, a great many of them." And his voice trailed off. And her father had to say, and the father had to say, meaning that the father actually do not want to say that. Like it's a bad thing to say that, but he had to say that like that. And then the last one is he's trying to change and add formal words there, like utter and some terrible words. It also gives different meaning to the text, although it's not really although it is very different, I guess. It's like it's formal. Okay, I'll see you guys in the Bella. Thank you for listening to my explanation. I hope you guys understand. Thank you.